says up here, I'm meant to be talking about CBD in rugby and high-impact sports. It's a little bit of a front, although I will talk about rugby. Actually, Michael asked me before if I'm a rugby player. You can tell by my frame, I'm clearly not a rugby player. What I do is I have a very strong interest in, actually not even so much regulating, but commercializing and branding non-psychoactive cannabinoids for the masses. And you'll see the tie into rugby in a minute. So I'm from England, if it's not clear from my accent. And I often get asked, what's going on with CBD in England, what's going on with CBD in Europe? So I've broken down some significant markers as to what happened over the past 3 years. I'm going to start with the MHRA. The MHRA in England, this is our Ministry of Health, a specific body within the Ministry of Health that regulates medicines and all healthcare products. In October 2016, they released a statement where they agreed that CBD does in fact have medicinal value. That was a bit of a game changer for the industry. That was ready for a moment, they closed it down. Because by saying it has medicinal value, they subsequently demanded medical marketing authorization for the selling of such products. They took a verbal step back from that to avoid hundreds of thousands of patients or customers marching on Downing Street. Shortly after that, the EFSA, the European Food Standards Authority, added CBD isolate to their novel food catalogue. Can I get a quick show of hands if you heard of the novel food catalogue in Europe? Okay, so very briefly, it's a catalogue that's run by the Food Standards Authority in the EU. It was set up in 1997, and it said that any product, food product or compound, that was not in the public domain prior to that date of incorporation, effectively is potentially novel food and prohibited for sale as food until proven safe, which can take a year, 2 years, and a few £100,000. They added CBD isolate in May 2017. Arguably should not be on there, although arguably it was not in the public domain prior. WADA, the World Anti-Doping Authority, again shortly after, formally announcing removal of CBD from their prohibited substance list. And you can see right at the bottom, they reiterated that statement earlier this year. The World Health Organization, on the 7th of June, said that CBD is 100% safe, no negative side effects, no risk of addiction, and they also reiterated that shortly after. Then came a landmark moment earlier this year when the Food Standards Authority in the EU, we woke up one morning to find that hemp extracts had been added to the catalogue. Many companies, many countries are still fighting that. That's where we are. As far as selling non-psychoactive cannabinoids in Europe, as long as you do not make a medical claim, as long as you do not use CBD isolate within the formulation, then it's free to sell. There's very clear directives to how to sell nutraceuticals or food supplements. Now, a little bit of a quick disclaimer on who we are. So as Michael introduced me, I was one of the earlier founders of CiiTECH about 5 years ago. The industry has changed so much. Still does amazing work in lobbying governments around the world because we do need change. I think all of us in this room and outside, we can all agree on, we can debate many things, but we can all agree what we really want is maximum access for this plant to the human population. And arguably not just humans, but dogs, cats, horses, and any other animal. So I, about 3 years ago, came to a bit of a realization. Around the time the NHRA made their statements, I came to a realization or a belief that the struggle for medical cannabis reform is hitting brick walls. And the brick wall is actually not big pharma lobbying, there's no conspiracy there, I don't believe. It's simply doctors will not prescribe cannabis, doctors en masse will not prescribe cannabis without data. The education you've heard people talk about. But the data they really require is pharmaceutical data, phase 3, double-blind, placebo trials, multi-site, thousands of people over a number of years, very expensive. In the absence of that, we have this opportunity, with hemp specifically, and there's reasons why, but with hemp we have this opportunity to bring, again, non-psychoactive, but very powerful cannabinoids to the masses. Everybody in this room, I presume, who sat through some lectures today, learned about the endocannabinoid system, learned about CBD as an anti-inflammatory. I'm not sure if it was said by anyone today, but one of the most fascinating facts that blew my mind when I was in this industry a few years ago was when I discovered that 95%, there's amazing reports out there, Over 95% of all human disease begins with or presents as inflammation. Cancer is an inflammation of the enzymes of the cell causing a mutation. Most pain is inflammation. We are, as humans, we are just inflammation. CBD is anti-inflammatory, with the endocannabinoid system, like the train tracks to reach every part of the body. It's the CBD that's doing the heavy hitting, and we have an opportunity, I believe, and CiiTECH was born on this mission, on this vision, that hemp-derived CBD should be available for the masses, sold as a food supplement, the same way that you buy ginseng or aloe vera or echinacea. It should be over the counter, off the shelf, on a website, in a gas station, wherever you would buy a food supplement. So as a company, and this is what we do, we create, depending on who I'm speaking to, depending on how to define a company, we are a house of brands. We're a company that's creating brands, consumer brands, because in our world, there is no doctors prescribing. In our world, there is no pharmacists who are offering advice and dispensing a product. In our world, and I think there's a presentation after talking about branding as well, in our world, it's a consumer choice. It's all about building a brand. It's all about building a brand that has trust. It's all about building a brand that's innovative, that sets itself apart from the others. We've all seen hundreds and hundreds of brands, I'm sure in South Africa, I've seen it myself, the emergence of dozens of brands, and no one knows which one to trust. No one really knows what's behind any of these brands. We keep reading articles telling us that we need to be careful about, are there mycotoxins, are there heavy metals, is there THC in the CBD? There's many fears. So we create products that we believe customers understand. And now a bit for the rugby connection. Who here knows Ben Franks? Show of hands. Small numbers. Okay, I'm not a rugby fan myself. About a year ago, Ben Franks gave me a call out of the blue. Told me he'd been using our product for a year. It blew him away. He researched the company, saw that we're involved in multiple research studies, and he wanted to get involved. After conversation, my mind was blown by the specific needs that he had as a professional sportsman over a usual customer that might buy CBD or a patient that might use medical cannabis. The conclusion of our conversation was he wrote me this email, and he's right, he hit the nail completely on the head. It will take generations and trillions of dollars to do enough clinical trials for doctors to prescribe this product en masse. And the pathway that we're talking about is non-psychoactive, ideally hemp-derived, but we can argue that, but non-psychoactive cannabinoids. So we talk together about what are these needs, because it's not just about it being clean, it's not just about the labeling being correct, there's other factors that come in. For example, his main concern is he gets drug tested, he's a professional sportsman. And we get many customers that ask this question, is it going to come up in the blood test? Am I going to fail my blood test? So it's about having zero THC, but it's even more than that. In the sports world, there's this big fear that came out after, I think, a few Olympics ago, with cross-contamination, whereby the food supplements that sports people are taking, that are manufactured in the same facility, that are producing opioids or pseudoephedrine or other banned substances, there can be a cross-contamination. And this is a big fear for sportsmen. And sportsmen have now become to rely on a small number of testing institutes, testing organisations that don't just test for, in this case, THC or for pesticide. They'll test for every single banned substance on that WADA prohibited substance list. And it's not just rugby. The same issues that athletes have is soldiers, is teachers, is doctors, is nurses. There's a vast market out there, and the experts say, and I tend to agree with them, every man, woman, child, and dog, cat, should be taking CBD every day. There's a big portion of the population that have fear. So normal testing will be this is the abbreviations, normal testing will be THC, pesticides, and heavy metals. But when you're talking about producing a product for sports people to be comfortable to use, they're not going to get banned from their sports or fines. We're talking about having to batch test every single batch you produce and testing it against all the banned substances, the mycotoxins, everything, performance-enhancing drugs. And then you've got things like CBN, which in certain countries is psychoactive in itself. And there's a whole bunch of other cannabinoids which we need to be aware of. So we came together and put together a product, a formulation, that actually, ironically, very ironically, actually will be landing in South Africa in about 2 weeks. We put together a brand which we're calling Impact Sports. And this does get over the big issues of scrutiny of regular drug testing, athletes and doctors and soldiers and all these important service people can be sure that every product they bought, they use, has been tested, and there's obviously efficacy and evidence. I think I'm coming to the end of my time. So really what it comes down to, and I'm sure the next meeting is going to get into more detail, in an industry where there are no doctors, there are no pharmacists, it's a consumer-led industry. And if you put yourself in the position of a consumer, as you may already have been, and you see a plethora of brands out there, and they're not brands that you recognize, they're not produced by companies that you recognize, it's very difficult to choose a product that you trust is going to help. Now, all branding is about creating a strong association between the brand and the consumer. But in our world, we don't call this medical cannabis, but every single one of our customers, and a customer of any CBD company, are using these products as medicine. So the trust that needs to be built up when you're building a CBD brand is that of medicine. And this is why we invest a significant portion of our profits back into research. We're currently engaged in 2 clinical studies in Israel. There's a whole bunch of information to uncover and unravel. And these are the aspects that not just provide more information back to the community and back to the market, also support our brand and support our consumers and being confident about a product that's going to help. Welcome.